Hmm. Cool. Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to Overdose and Chill 157. If you haven't seen this guy's face around LinkedIn, well, I'm very surprised, and maybe you should. But very first, my name is Ryan. I am the Chief Experience Officer here at Overdose, and next to me is the famous Hamish, the founder of Order Editing. Welcome to Overdose and Chill, Hamish.
Welcome. It's good to be here.
Thanks for joining us, dude. Well, this is a Shopify app for all merchants listening in. It's an app that I caught up with Hamish quite some time ago, maybe last year, and yes, I was amazed, actually, in fact. And Hamish has proven on his LinkedIn that many merchants are saying, "I can't believe that this even exists, or why this hasn't existed beforehand." So, if you are a Shopify merchant, I highly recommend that you stay tuned, because this is something that you should definitely get your hands on. But enough of me saying I guess giving you credit for everything that you've done, Hamish. Let's talk about Order Editing. Let's talk about what it does first and foremost, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty details about how it kind of works and your story.
Yeah, the quick intro is that, as the name implies, we let customers make changes to their order post-purchase without contacting you. And that means updating their address, changing product options, buying more products, applying discount codes retroactively that they forgot. And the idea is that 10% minimum of your customer service work will be editing customer orders post-purchase. And a lot of the time, your service agents can't get to the order and you end up shipping it to the wrong place or with the wrong items, and we solve that problem. And that's where the app birthed out of us having a lot of support requests. And then what it's being used a lot for now in Australia and New Zealand is we have merchants doing post-purchase upsells, because you can change your address, but you can also buy more products. And so you SMS or email all of your customers just after they buy and say, "There's actually a little bit of space in your package. Did you want to add X? It's 20% off." And that is absolutely killing.
Nice. So that's a brief overview, and let's dive into some of this a bit deeper. But I will just mention, because it is 3 p.m. here in New Zealand, and then obviously 1 p.m. in Australia, we will touch on the feature sets first to make sure that any merchants listening in understand the benefits. But I do advise you to stay tuned, because Hamish's story, I think you're 22 years old, Hamish, correct?
Yeah, 23 in a couple of weeks.
23 in a couple of weeks. He's quite the entrepreneur. He's got quite the story as well. It kind of involves that big guy called Mr. Beast. So we'll touch on that a bit later if you want to listen in. But yeah, let's start on the actual order editing side of things and less about the upsells, because I want to dive into that. When we talk about with our merchants a lot, is that people typically, they measure transactions, they measure revenue, right? They don't necessarily measure how much money saving or cost savings there are around the admin and the e-commerce manager actually, or the customer service team managing all these editing orders throughout this time period. Was that the primary focus for order editing at the time, and is that what it was meant to be at the very start?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge CX geek. My background is being a CX manager, and where the app birthed from was that we'd get 3,000 emails every single month saying, "Can you change my address? Can you change my size? Can you cancel my order?" etc. And I had just done the math on what our cost per ticket is, which customer service managers should know. And you pretty much take the cost of your help desk and how much you pay per email, and the cost of all your labor force to answer those emails, and you divide it by how many tickets you get.
Yeah.
And we found out that if we get 3,000 tickets every month and we spend $2.50 every time we answer an email, well, if we could self-service all those requests, we would be saving tens of thousands of dollars every single month. And then that's very much what we went to market with, was like, save time and money on customer support. Like, this is industrial waste that you're doing. And then the upsells kind of birthed off it as we started like doing customer feedback and talking with people, and suddenly this like infrastructure that we've built of updating order line items has turned into multiple different value props.
Yeah, I can get that. And I think in this day and age also, you know, like you see a lot of brands, they do have these e-commerce managers that are kind of doing everything, right? Like they're doing social ads, they're running the e-commerce store, they're talking to customers. Outside of just saving cost for the merchants, there's also a fact that it allows them to have the time to spend on maybe other aspects of their business, like marketing as well, which is super important. I was going to also ask, like, from your perspective or from what you've seen, obviously developing order editing, what is kind of the average number of order edits that you would typically see on a month-to-month basis?
Yeah, there's two, like the average number of customers that make a mistake with their order post-purchase is like consistently been 1 to 2% of all of your orders. So 1 to 2% of all of your orders will contact you about this. But when our app's live, since it's like front and center and customers see like confirm your order before it ships, or like double check your details, you can only make changes for 30 minutes. We have about 10% of every customer log into our app and make a change. Whether that's just like using address verification that we've built in and improving the address, or it's like adding a phone number to their order so they get tracking updates, or it's buying more products. We get serious usage. And I mean, that's the product priority, because we know that if we can increase frequency of use, and then also we can make upsell conversion as high as possible, like you receive less tickets and you eliminate 99% of them. And then also you get a revenue per ticket data point of like, every time an edit happens, you make $4.
And in reality, you know, like people's time on websites are becoming less and less, you know, their attention to detail is becoming less and less. And the benefits of Shopify is, you know, you may have saved addresses. You know, mistakes happen, and we're only human as such, but those mistakes are probably becoming more and more, you know, frequent these days as well. So for a platform like yourself becomes almost crucial, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like some people are like, oh, wow, you know, 10 to 15% of our customers go into your app. Like that's insane. But I just reckon it shows how anxious shoppers are after they buy. That they feel the need to go and check the edit your order button to make sure like, oh, is my address what I want it to be? Because I feel like every customer has some scar tissue of something going wrong. Like I've got it. I shipped undies to the wrong place like a month ago. I would 100% click that button every time now. I've bought, okay, let's just double check in and get the pick accuracy right.
I was thinking that, even like, man, if you are a florist merchant on Shopify listening to this, and I hate to say it, but imagine how many people are sending to their ex-girlfriends because their addresses are saved or whatever, right? Like, order editing is not necessarily just a platform for that, but it's saving relationships as well, you know. But it goes more than just that, you know, like, because I think a lot of people, like I've done this, you know, I ordered the wrong size by accident, thinking I was still 18 years old, where I'm no longer 18 and 2 sizes up. But as soon as you kind of receive that order confirmation email, you know, you sweat bullets. You're like, oh no, now I have to go through this massive process. I have to send it back. Even from a customer experience perspective, you know, the ability to edit that is an absolute game changer.
Yeah, it's and we put it front and center in all of our decks, is like deliver the preferred experience to your customers. There's no way anyone would rather wait in a support ticket queue and like be anxiety ridden that, you know, my order's going to ship at 3 p.m. You know, are you going to respond to me in time? Or is this just going to la la land? I have to do a return or whatever it is. No good.
Yeah. And then, like, do you have particular metrics on, like, I guess, you know, on returns and how many returns you essentially minimize?
We don't. We just had Sheet Society go live, and they're the first brand that like have had robust data on how many returns have happened and how many failed deliveries happened, like before the launch date for us. So in a couple of months, we're going to look at all of that and peel through and go, did returns reduce? Did you have less failed deliveries? Were there less return to senders? And then that'll be getting blasted over socials, obviously.
Yeah.
But right now we're running on assumptions that it has that downstream impact.
Cool. And then so I was just for context on this call, I was with a client yesterday and talked about order editing, and they essentially said, "Oh, how does that work with the 3PL? How does that work? In general, it sounds too good to be true." Do you want to explain to, I guess, people listening to the call how all that works, just to reduce maybe some anxiety or some questions that they're thinking right now?
Yeah, and it's definitely like I think that's the reason why this just had never been solved before. Like why it's taken to 2023 for it to be a tool. And what we ended up building in our apps infrastructure is a way to stop orders from going downstream to your 3PL or to your warehouse management software or to your ERP. And that is like this grace period, this editing period where customers can make changes. And then after that cutoff, which you can set dynamically, the orders lock up and it gets sent downstream. Alternatively, if you're not happy with doing a delay, what we can do, but it's not my favorite because again, I like the CX of just having one order number, is that we can cancel the original order provided you edit within a certain time frame, and then use a manual payment gateway to the new one. So you don't pay a bunch of processing fees, but you effectively cancel and recreate the order and just merge it into the next order number.
Yeah, I think that's a really key point on the processing fees, because I think that's probably
a
lot of people would be asking, "Oh, am I going to have to pay, 2 times processing?"
2.9,
yeah, just for that order editing. So again, just want to reiterate that this man himself and his team, obviously, I can't give him all the credit, has came with a solution for that too. And then I want to kind of touch on the upsell. I guess upsell, I'd probably say more than upsell. Well, it could be both. Yes, is that's a really big component too. And just to give context and what I see day to day in e-commerce, like there's people that have multiple items in their cart. There is motivation to buy more, but then they kind of have concerns. They buy that one item, But what order editing does is it actually provides people to actually add more within that grace period too, right? Is that something that you believe is also, I guess, a game changer in the e-commerce space and something that is utilized more than maybe what you expected?
Yeah, it's why, like when we went to market, we went really hard on that save time and money, because that's what we felt. And then quickly we found out that like the brands that are doing 0 to like 8 figures, they really just want to generate more upsell revenue. And they started pinging us about these app features. Oh, how can we do a better Klaviyo flow? How can we A/B test this? And we've quickly found that like, well, most of the time we're now onboarding someone because they want to make more money. And like we talk about it all the time, but merchants you've never upsold this late after purchase. No one's ever been able to send an email to your customers or a text after the order confirmation email and say there is room in your package, or like, are you sure you don't want to add this? It's discounted. And that's what a lot of people get really excited about. And then they end up using the app for a month and it's generating all these sales. But like a key measure for us is like as a startup is, how sad would you be if this disappeared the next day? And people then say like, I could not imagine going back to answering emails. So they kind of come in the door to make more money, and it does. And then by the end of it, they're just like, this is actually a lifesaver. We're not gonna have to hire more staff for the rest of the year. And like, we've gone out of that perpetual loop of, oh, we're doing 5,000 more orders a month now. We probably need 2 more support agents. And that just like continually scales into this beast. But yeah, it is a game changer. Like it's just a sales channel that has not existed until a year ago when we put out this thing to the world.
Yeah, I think from my perspective is that, you kind of got 2 different, I guess, pillars in the application, which is like cost saving, which should be, I guess in this economy at the moment, people are very conscious about cost saving, and especially businesses, profitability is ridiculously key and critical. But at the same time, you've got the ability to also gain revenue on top of that. Like, in your own perspective, and maybe you could be biased or whatnot to this, but what do you think is more important in your eyes? Is gaining more revenue, or is it the fact that you're saving cost and time?
I think the cost. It depends on your order volume. Depends on your order volume. Like what we know is that when you ship out more than 10,000, like if you ship out 10,000 orders a month, you probably waste 10 hours a week editing orders. When you ship out 20,000, you waste 20. Like we're onboarding Opoly in the UK at the moment, and they spend 40 hours a week changing addresses. And I think that is just so meaningful. And yes, like they'll make a lot of money too. But I think they will care about that the most.
Yeah, that could be a $70,000 role just editing orders.
Literally. And what happens when the brand doubles in size in 5 years or 3 years or whatever it is? They're like the fastest growing brand in the UK. It's going to happen. You're then talking 80 hours.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And do you think it, because customer experience and having this, I guess, less tension when purchasing an item from a brand or an e-commerce store, it can create loyalty. Do you think order editing is facilitating, I guess, confidence in a lot of customers too, and wanting people to buy back?
100%. Like Andy at Sheet Society has been phoning up some of his customers that are like advocates of their sheets. And he's because he's like testing us, right? And he's like, how'd you find order editing? Like, what's the experience like? And the customer says, why doesn't every store have this? Because customers hate it, and like it is an anxiety thing. And I think you can tell that there's a loyalty play here when our app has 10% usage.
Yeah,
like I just think, what does that tell you about customer behavior if 10% of them are going into an app that lets them make changes and they're confirming their order before it ships?
And you mentioned that obviously it depends on what you're selling. Order editing could be a lot higher in I don't know, like a food space or whatever that is. Like, what are the categories that you typically see where order editing becomes more and more critical?
Yeah, we've definitely got the most traction with fashion, cosmetics, supplements. Food's becoming real common, like food delivery services, because they want to upsell more red meat before the package goes out on Monday on that like delivery timeline. But it's interesting because the infrastructure of it is so broad, and we have questions all the time. Like we had someone who does this warranty. They've got like a warranty issue where they receive 300 emails every week for claiming warranty on their lifetime warranty products. Like, oh, it's damaged now. Can I get a new one? And they have to do this convoluted manual work of forms and things like that. And we jump on the call and we're like, we've kind of got all of the infrastructure to handle that type of return and collect that information and then add it to meta fields and whatnot. So we get some obscure people come through with, oh, I have this specific problem. And we just go, well, we're fully integrated with Shopify Flow and we can just build a node for that and make it automated. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because we got so many different features, I suppose. Yeah, like it's real. It's like my co-founder, the developer for the project, is just, a wizard. Like top 5 Shopify app developers in the world. I'm biased, but like I genuinely think that's the case. And it's the coolest thing ever, sitting on a call with him with a brand, and they bring up something and we just dive deep and he just like solves their problem like it's nothing.
He figures it out.
Yeah.
So I think that's also like probably a key part of your success as well, is that you haven't, I don't know how to say this, but like, you've kept yourself relatively agile, saying, hey, look, we're this product, this is all we can do, blah, blah, blah. You see these challenges or these problems from other merchants, and then it sparks interest and you're like, actually, maybe we could consider a solution for that, like the lifetime value. So that's a real key part of, I guess, being in partnership with yourself as well, right?
Yeah. Oh, we move so fast. Like we were on call with a brand just the other week, and they were saying it'd be so like, because we've got this feature where customers can create a support ticket through our app, and when they create a support ticket through our app, we can put a hold on the order and make sure it doesn't ship out until CS respond to it. And the CS manager was like, "Could you do that for all of our tickets?" And we're like, "Yeah, like we can just call Orders' API and build this little side app where when a support ticket's received, put a fulfillment hold on the order, tag it, make sure it doesn't ship out, and then when CS responds and resolves the ticket, automatically remove the hold, remove the tag to ship it." And she was like, "That's nuts." Like, cool, we'll build that for you.
And well, on that point though, like, you say that you can build that for you. How much control does the merchant have, or the person behind the scenes? Like, they can change whatever they want. They can change these flows themselves too, right?
Yeah, and that's why we decided to build in Shopify Flow, because you can just set so many different condition blocks. I'd say like 70% of our plus brands at the moment have shipping SLAs, and they say, we ship out orders. Like, we offer same-day shipping if you order before 12 p.m. So we can't have a delay on those orders. They need to come in at 12. We go, cool. Like in Shopify Flow, we'll recognize what time the order's placed with our order date information node. And for orders placed between 11:45 and 12 p.m., they go straight to your system and they can't edit their order because they're on the brink. But everyone else can have this grace period. Or like, did they purchase this delivery method and then send them on a slightly different journey? And you can get really specific around that. Like, yes, you end up with complex automations, but Shopify just runs them without failure,
Yeah, love it. And then I guess the same with like promotional periods too. Like, say if a client has, sorry, I say client, I should say merchants. I'm so used to agency world here. Is that like if they have like a bundle deal throughout, I don't know, this weekend, buy this TV with this soundbar, etc. Like you would have the ability to go through order editing for the people that maybe buy that TV without the soundbar to add to that and promotion while the price afterwards, correct?
Yeah. We do Nicki Minaj's nail salon store, and like hard out with creator economy products. I find that like logistically they tend to be a bit slow to ship out just because of the demand. And their ecom manager was like, far out, we're getting blasted with tickets because we're 2 weeks behind on fulfillment. Could we use your app to email all of the late shipments and say, hey, here's a free set of nails, like, we're really sorry for the delay, and they click edit your order and add it in, it's a free product. And we're like, yeah, we can do that. So if they miss gift with purchases or things like that, you just leverage our app's functionality to do it. That's one of those weird cases that come in, like, can you do this? And we're like, actually, yeah, I think we can.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I love that you actually like just constantly solving those issues. And then I was going to mention around the integrations as well, because I think that's typically a question around how does that integrate with Klaviyo? Is it SMS a part of it? Maybe if you don't mind, just briefly touching on that.
Yeah, so we're fully with Shopify's new checkout extensibility now. We do still have like a theme editor way of doing it, but most are going to checkout extents. And so we just have to link the order status URL, which Klaviyo has an event, hyperlink for. You put it in, it's dynamic. Customer clicks, edit your order, view your order details, and it just takes them straight locked into our app, and they're like playing with our toggles.
Nice and simple.
Yeah.
And I think that's the, there's so much benefit to it in general. And it's, it integrates everything very easy. It's very easy to set up to create. Like, you could probably be up and going in a day, less.
Yeah, within the day.
And it's one of those things that you should actually just trial and see that return on investment, and you'd probably get that return pretty quickly.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
All right. I kind of want to touch on
story time.
I kind of want to touch on story time too, because you're 22. You're from, I think you're from Hamilton, New Zealand.
Auckland. I studied in Hamilton.
Okay. Right. You studied in Hamilton, and that itself is a bit of a trip, I guess. The
city of the future.
Yeah, city of the future. You're 22, about to turn 23. You're all over LinkedIn. your product is, well, it speaks words, and a lot of people are very happy with what you've done. How did you start it? What's the background there?
Yeah, so coming out of the Tron, I guess like initial context is that I'm connected to this YouTuber world vicariously through my brother, I suppose, who's a famous YouTuber. He might be New Zealand's second or third most subscribed YouTuber, which is pretty nuts. And he moved to Melbourne and teamed up with a whole bunch of other creators, and this guy started a merchandising company for them, where he was like, content creator merch is super stagnant. Most people only wear their merchandise to bed. They don't wear it out in public. Let's build really cool clothes and launch it for famous YouTubers. And that company just printed money. And they started in 2019. And in 2021, they were working with Mr. Beast and Carl Jacobs and all these big names. And they were doing $40 million a year on Shopify US, which is pretty nuts for a two-year-old startup. But I ended up landing an internship there through the connection. And when I joined, they didn't really have a customer experience manager. So after a month or two of like trying to weed my way into this organization as a 20-year-old intern, I said like, oh, let me manage support. There's a huge problem here. I'll hire a team, manage them, and solve the problem. And so they ended up just throwing me into that role and started managing tickets. And we had a team of 10 support agents. And then one day I asked them all, because we'd do these one-to-one catch-ups, because I was trying to learn how to be a manager. I was like reading books and like, oh, you should do one-to-ones. And so I was catching up with the CX team. And I remember one week I asked every single one of them, what do you spend the most time doing in your day? And I think it was like 9 out of 10 said changing customer addresses. And the immediate thought in my head was like, we don't do returns tickets because customers use the returns app. Why isn't there an app for order edits? And, I took that to the founding team and kind of pitched it as this like project proposal. It's going to cost this much money. I found a developer through mutual connections, and that was Kara. And then we built the app for ourselves and used it for the entire year, and like grew to 50 mil rev. And we never had to hire another support agent because we literally woke up the next day to 400 or 500 less emails that week. I remember because we would do these big storefronts, like Mr. Beast is the headline example, 150 million subscribers on YouTube, and we'd launch a week-long drop for him. And he'd be promoting it through his YouTube channel, through his Twitter, and would have like 1.5 million people go on our site in the first hour or two to buy his clothes to support like their favorite YouTuber. And we would wake up as a support team to 1,000 emails from these kids who were so stressed because, they use their mom's credit card or like whatever it was. Yeah, like that came through a lot. The mom's been like, can you cancel this order? Like my son just bought it with my credit card. And then we didn't have that anymore. We'd wake up on drop day and there'd been like $3 or $4 million of sales to the site, 50,000 orders put through. But our help desk wouldn't be flooded. And then that company actually started to have some like cash flow problems, and it started kind of sunsetting towards the end of 2022. And I just turned to the guy that I'd developed the app with and had been working with, like on a contractual basis, and said, look, like this was huge for us. This was absolutely massive for us. I think we saved 80 grand that year on cost. If you took our cost per ticket and multiplied by how many edits happened, we should go to market with this. I guarantee that other big brands receive a lot of order edit requests. We can't be the only one. And he was super keen. We teamed up. We kept developing the product because obviously it was just built for us. It was a bit of an MVP. I kept working full time at another startup because that's what my life is startups. And then in June, so we're nearing on a year now. In June, we launched on the App Store because the product had been finished. 3 months later, we got our first paying customer, the Udi. And then in December, I quit my job to go full time. And now I'm full time on this business that we started. We didn't take funding, and we're a team of 3 now. We had our first hire, and we just get to meet with like 30 different e-commerce brands every single week and hear about their problems and hear them get excited and say, this is a no-brainer. Like life is good. It's a lot of fun.
Just to put things in reality here, that whole life story was in a space of 2 years. You're an intern 2 years ago, and then of auto editing. So your story is almost a short story, but a very detailed and successful one.
Yeah, and there was so much in that. Like,
yeah,
and then I glossed over a lot of it. But like, you know, I watched a very successful startup go bankrupt. I pitched like a $10,000 US like app development to the founders of this massive like company in effect as a kid. I got through, like I managed to get myself to manage the help desk for the world's most famous YouTubers 2 months after starting there. Like Lord knows why they put me in charge of that, but they just, you know, I obviously sold myself well. And then like I remember when that company ended and I spoke to my co-founder about we should go to market with this. And we wanted to stay bootstrapped, so I needed to find work because I didn't have that much runway. I remember thinking like, okay, I've got the CX side of things down. I know e-com a bit, like I know this product back to front. What I have no clue of how to do is how to grow a business or sell a product, like let alone a software product. I've been working with physical goods. And so I remember when I was interviewing for jobs, I would meet with these job interviewers, or I'd only apply for jobs that were startups, less than 10 people. And I said, it needs to be sales. And I said, I need a mentor. Like I need to either work directly with the founder or some senior leader who is going to tell me how the hell they're doing this. And I was so lucky to pick up like the job that I had all of last year and just be a total sponge for 12 months while like we tried to build our side hustle into a real opportunity.
And what are the ambitions now, right? Like, I guess like even from my own, and I'm not here to shout out myself here, but like, you know, I started Overdose when I was 24. Again, I took that same mentality of being a sponge to learn what I had to do to start this business and then be adaptable as you start to grow. And then, you know, everything changes throughout these years. Is that, you know, what are you going to do to help your own self ambitions going forward to grow auto editing?
Yeah. I mean, we're growing really hard through content. Like, I think it's something ludicrous now where like 70% of our like customers just come from a post that I make, you know. Like that's kind of our like growth flywheel. And that was like the plan of attack. It's like I really want to build an audience on LinkedIn. I think our product is one of those things where you hear about it, it makes sense, and you want to learn how it works. And the ambition is just to keep growing this as fast as possible. We're on a really great growth curve. The last few months have been insane, and we're just trying to continue that, but stay as lean as possible and just grow a business that makes more money than it spends, and stay profitable and just do our thing and keep our head down to the ground, and just solve all these problems that are cropping up. And I hope that at the end of this year, you know, we have like 100 to 150, probably more like 100 Shopify Plus merchants using us. And then I hope that halfway through next year, there's 200 Shopify Plus merchants using us. And then we just go from there. And like I said, like I've always worked in startups. I'm really passionate about the like 0 to 1 journey. To be very frank, like I think what this looks like is that when we get to 1 or 2 or 3, you know, I kind of look in the mirror and go, well, you're 23, kid. Like maybe you should get someone who's better at growing something from 2 mil to 10 mil. And like maybe you have a crack at a new app and put this under this group of companies or whatever it is, and keep enjoying like the banging the head against the wall that you do when you first start a business and try and get out of that hole. Because that's what's really fun.
So what, like, yeah, I couldn't agree more, especially to that point, you know, like once you get to that large scale moment, do you get someone else in and help support that, you know? But what's been more exciting for you? Is it that 0 to 100 moment of, you know, what you've built to what it is today? Or is it hearing from businesses, hearing from those challenges and solving those particular problems?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little bit biased because we're such a small team right now. But what like is giving me a lot of fulfillment right now is that we're just becoming friends with all these people. Like it's pretty lonely internally. Like matter of fact, it's me and my co-founder, and we talk nonstop on the phone. We're pretty much married at this point, and there's one other guy, but we don't get to have work parties. We're all remote, and so when I have like the founders of these brands ringing me up once a week and just for a yarn and how's the business going, that's the most exciting thing, is that we're getting like all of this advocacy from our clients, and they're talking about it and they're supporting us. And I think what's really pushing us at the moment is like we're doing really well, but there's just this whole army of people that are cheering us on.
Yeah.
And that's really special. Like you don't feel as alone in the depths of grow a business land, because like everything's going amazing and we're having so much fun, but we're also working 15-hour days, and it's also really hard, and there's 100 people asking you for things. Like it would be, I don't know how solopreneurs do it. Like thank God I've got a co-founder, and thank God I've got like a bunch of clients who are like slowly becoming your best friends in a way,
Yeah, it is something for, I guess, people that start startups that they need to consider though, like I guess looking at yourself, and I've seen the growth from you in the last 6 months of when I first talked to you to what you are today. Like as much as it looks really good on the surface or from the outside, you've probably got, you're working ridiculous hours. You maybe you're not socializing as much as you used to, right? So that is the hustle and bustle of when you start a company in reality.
Yeah, I was joking with Dave, our head of UK. He texted me and he was like, I've got all of these great ideas, and it's midnight in London. And I was like, sweet. And I tried to call him, and he goes, sorry, mate, I've had a bowl of wine. I need to go to bed.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'll call you in the morning. And I go, oh, because morning in the UK is like 5 p.m. here. And I'm like, actually, I've got plans tonight. Like I'm not working this Friday. Like I'm doing something for myself.
Yeah.
Which hasn't been the case the last few weeks. And, that's what isn't necessarily seen publicly.
What advice would you have for, I guess, someone at your age potentially, or it doesn't have to be your age, but someone with that same mindset of wanting to create something that's special and, that obviously resonates with you and something that you believe in? What would you give them?
Yeah, I think the most important piece of work that I ever did was just figuring out what I want from life, like what B looks like. If I'm at A right now, what does B look like, and when do I want to be at B? And then understanding how you're going to get there. And what that was for me was like, I want to run a successful business that potentially puts me in like a retirement position by the time I'm 25. I know I'm a bit crazy. That's not very normal. But, I was 18 when I thought then, I thought, okay, what would the next 7 years have to look like for me to get to B? And it was start a company, and it was work my ass off, and it was everything that kind of ties into both the work to get to the position to start something and also the journey of running something yourself. But I was excited about that journey. Like I was like, that's a really exciting thing. I want to get to B. But I find that a lot of my friends will have the yarn with me, and we'll talk about what the B point is. And they'll go, okay, then you'll need to do this. And they find out, actually, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to do that travel from A to B. And then it means you have to change what that goal is.
Yeah.
And then once you, like the thing that, in terms of getting to the idea and like launching a good product stage, the thing that my advice has just been you need to get into this like crazy founder mindset, where you're constantly thinking about your business. You're constantly trying to drum up ideas. And I find that happens when you're always just reading books or consuming podcasts or articles. And you're just like constantly in this frame of mind where you're thinking about how to build something from scratch. And then the ideas start flowing.
Yeah. It's taking a challenge and really figuring out how to get there, basically. Do you feel like, it's quite funny that your A to B was kind of pretty similar to mine in some respect. I kind of had no idea what I was doing at the very start. I just wanted to start a company before I was 25, and then here we are at Overdose. But I did have experience, and like I do feel like I'm pretty good at what I do. But like, do you feel like that those goals have changed a wee bit since you've started to be a part of auto editing? Like, I don't know, maybe you become you're more passionate about dealing or working with clients and understanding businesses, like has that, I guess, your focus started to shift a wee bit from the ultimate goal?
A little bit. Like the goal still has like always stayed the same, and I still think it's a great goal. What will be interesting is how much of because the fulfillment that I get is from both growing a business, working closely with these clients, being in a small team, all the stuff that I always enjoyed when I was working at startups. It'd be interesting if I start to lose that as the business gets bigger. And if it's still there when we're doing like Lord knows what kind of numbers, then I think those goalposts might shift and we'll just keep cracking on, because you're still finding all the love that you have at work that we have right now. But if that starts to dwindle, like if I'm not working as closely with brands and maybe there's a sales team under me and account managers, then I think like what the ultimate goal had been when I was 18 was retire and then go and study and then become a university lecturer. And that's still not at like uni, most likely. I was thinking more like, I don't know, Cambridge or an Ivy League would be pretty cool.
Like a Harvard,
audacious goals. But I get like the thing that I really like. One of the reasons why I post on LinkedIn and why I'm doing content is because I know it becomes a lot more possible for me when I have an audience, or I don't need to teach on university. I can actually just like have a community of founders or whatever it is, or be a mentor to people. And like, God, that sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, my day gets made when people reach out and they say, this is super inspiring, or someone random books a call on my diary, which is always welcome. Not to buy audio editing or not to like ask questions about the product, but just to like, mate, I really want to work at a startup, but I don't know how you do it. Or I really want to start a business, but I don't know how you do it. And they just ask questions.
Yeah, I think you're a testament to actually inspiring people, right? Like you've got a certain sense of energy, and maybe Overdose and Chill isn't the right platform just to talk you up. Well, it probably is, to be fair, but I agree with it, right? Like this is more than just what the platform can do with merchants. I think this is you are that kind of particular person, and the fact that you want to be working at, like, I don't know, universities, hopefully Waikato one day, is, you want to inspire people. And I think that's really key. And I think just following you on LinkedIn is that you probably have inspired people without you even realizing, dude. I really mean that. 22 years old, what you've built, you've solved a problem that a lot of merchants are having, to the degree that people can't even believe it exists or think it's too good to be true, is what I heard yesterday. And you and your co-founder and everyone involved in helping you should be extremely proud of that. I genuinely mean that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's super special. Every day is a pinch me moment, both because we're doing this, but also because like, you do get those messages, and people are rooting for us. What more could you possibly ask for? And that's why we do it so publicly.
So what's next steps for Auto Edge Team before we close off for the afternoon?
Yeah, next steps are in June. We've got some of the world's biggest retailers going live in the UK and the US, like $100 million plus brands. And those are going to be some pretty cool launch posts. I think there's a lot of people watching what we do, but they don't quite believe it. They say it's too good to be true. But when they see these massive names go, they'll have a oh fuck moment.
Yeah, nice.
And then we're going to go deep into more features and integrations. And we've kind of solved all of the editing problems. Like that part of the product is built out. Where the focus will start leaning to is how can we really drive more revenue for merchants, because we're already saving all of the cost. And I'm going to the US in July to do a roadshow to hype up that market with these big names. I'll be touring around for 90 days because I couldn't get a visa to do any longer. And yeah, we might hire like a head of US, and then there'll be the US, UK, and AU just absolutely humming.
Cool. We do have a US market. Overdose obviously has offices over there. So whereabouts in the US are you going in particular?
Yeah, I'm doing all these meetings at the moment where I'm like, who should I be talking to? But right now it's looking like you do a couple of weeks in LA, a couple of weeks in Austin, Texas, maybe a month or longer in New York because it's just so big. And there's a few places around that, but we're lucky to get connected around quite a lot at the moment. Like, there's a few influencers there that are like, oh, ping this guy, and they make an introduction. So we might be all over the place.
Yeah, nice.
Where are the Overdose offices? Are you New York?
We're in Seattle. Yeah.
Seattle. Oh, Seattle's so nice.
Yeah. So but we've got people situated, across the entire country, to be fair. So but big opportunity. Obviously, it's a huge market over there, and
a hard chestnut to crack.
They'll be making the same mistakes as us Kiwis and Australians for sure around wrong sizes.
Yeah. A lot of them have they've got a lot of these communities, these massive communities with like 1,000 brands in them, and I'm in this one which is all customer experience people, and I just kind of hover there and ask questions to try and like build out new product features and test feedback. And a message just dropped in the other day where someone was like, have you seen this? And like they linked to our website. So things are slowly starting to drum up there, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to have much trouble. This is kind of like the application where it just seems like the absolute no-brainer. When I saw it, I was like, oh, this is fascinating. I think I reached out to you even.
I think you did. I think you DM'd me.
I think I reached out to you and I was like, oh, this could be
cured up.
I was like, we're all about helping our merchants and our clients and, for growth, and to see something, as innovative yet very critical for businesses like yourself. You're like,
I mean, whenever I talk to non-ecom people, they always go like the way I describe it is that, in 12 months, you'll never have to call someone up to change your address. Like, there's no way that a single brand won't be self-servicing this, whether it's through us or through the other apps that'll crop up. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, why should you if you could do the former? And that's pretty cool. It's like, before mobile ordering was available and whatnot.
Have you seen any competition trying to replicate what you've done so far?
I actually love my naivety. When we built this, or like when I had the idea, I couldn't find another app on the App Store. There actually was one. There's been one around for a little while, and they cancel orders and then drop you at checkout with what you had purchased to do address changes and cancellations. And they still exist. They've actually got quite a lot of the US. So we've been slowly kind of stealing their brands at the moment because they want more features. And then there's one other, but no one's doing it in the same way that we do. Or quite across, like no one's doing the same way that we do with the upselling piece. Like, that just doesn't exist. Not many are updating original order numbers, and none of them can really integrate with these warehouses and 3PLs, which is the big reason why people haven't tried to solve this problem before.
I think and that's what I've been hearing from people as well. Like, that integration through 3PLs and stuff. They're like, oh, but we're with a 3PL, and then I come and talk to you. And that's easy. That I can do that. I do that in my sleep, kind of thing. And that's the reality of things. Is people are immediately coming to assumptions, thinking, no, because I'm a 3PL, I can't use your application. That's the truth.
And that's why it's taken 18 years, and why like our growth curves go like that. Like when we went to market, that was the headbang to the wall. Everyone was just like, nah, doesn't work. Don't need to meet you. Like, bugger off. We're like, no. And now they kind of come and they're like, oh, I saw you got these guys live. We have the same warehouse software. Like, how'd you do it? And they have the light bulb moment. So that will continue.
I guess I just want to really quickly just say, because we are about to close the call, but if you have any pressing questions, now is your chance to put a comment in the box for Hamish. Hopefully we've covered most of the questions that are typically asked. While we wait, if there's any responses here, Hamish, is there anything that you typically get asked from merchants that you want to kind of press today and answer those questions?
Yeah, the super common questions are, I need to, like, when an order's placed at 11:50 p.m., it needs to be in our warehouse at 12, and that's that conditional cutoff. They go down a different journey. The Klaviyo integration, always comes up, and you can hyperlink our app from any email, put a link on the button or the text or the photo. People ask about how you can design it. There's full custom CSS, but now that it's in the new Shopify checkout extensibility, you don't need it because it just is the exact same as your order status page. And it absorbs all your fonts and themes and styles and whatnot. You can set discounts on upsell products line by line, or you can discount your entire catalog. You can hide specific products. You can choose what types of products you upsell. Those are the most common ones that crop up.
Cool. Nice. I think that's nice and clear. No comments, just people saying, come to Miami, come to Austin. Let's go, Hamish.
I've heard Miami's fun.
Yeah. We had some of the crew go to Miami for the Commerce Tools conference recently. Yeah, they'll never be the same again. But cool. Hey, first and foremost, dude, really appreciate you being on the call on a Friday Arvo. I was having a beer, having it nice and chill. I just really want to back up that. Actually, sorry, I think there is potentially a question here. So many business needs this. Quick question: what's the best example of ROI, so return on investment and growth, you have seen from a merchant implementing this? So, what is the best ROI and growth that you've seen a merchant? Who was the golden nailed it?
Yeah. Nike put this up before Black Friday, where you've actually got exaggerated numbers, but they're doing a shit ton of order volume. They received 2,000 less support tickets than they did the year prior during that sale period. And they did $12,000 AED of upsell revenue by upselling those tickets when customers change their address. We just posted one yesterday. It's on my LinkedIn profile. Block Blue Light, they've got multiple stores in US, UK, AU, and NZ. They did 10 grand US of upsell revenue in the last 60 days, and they're not even discounting their products for upsell. That's just organic, there's room in my package, no incentive. And we save them 8 hours a week of work on support tickets.
Yeah. So outside of the, I guess, revenue gain, there's also a lot of cost savings in the back of it, right? Which to me now is profit in general.
Yeah.
These guys, yeah. So
and post-purchase upsells are so sick. You've already spent all of your customer acquisition costs. It is just free money. Not free money. You're only spending on your margin there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're already down the funnel. They're ready to purchase. There is a chance that you would add something else that you potentially missed. I guess I should be closing this off, but I think it's one last key point I want to talk about is maybe around personalization of some of these recommendations as well. Right? Do you have those capabilities?
Building.
Yeah.
Building. Really personalized emails through our app. Building. There's some pretty exciting stuff with AI that we're doing with my co-founder.
Cool. All right. Perfect. I don't want to dive too deep into that because we might be giving away some
secrets of the trade.
Yeah. Let's just be careful. So, anyways, man, really appreciate
so much love
being on the chill. Obviously, I'm a big fan, and it's been a great little session.
Thanks for having me, and thanks everyone for joining. Hey, MJ.
All right, peace, everyone.